Okay,
Yeah.
we're good.
All right, thank you. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the special meeting of the mayor and council of the Borough of Englewood Cliffs. Today is March 24th, 2022. It's approximately 6
Good
p.m.
evening,
I
everyone.
call this meeting to order. We are conducting this meeting virtually. And Madam Clerk, would you please read into the record the statement of compliance?
Adequate notice of this meeting has been provided in accordance with the Open Public Meetings Law, PL 1975, Chapter 231, setting forth the time, date, and place and purpose of this meeting through a legal notice published in the record, posted on the Borough website and on the bulletin board.
Okay, thank you. Would you please conduct a roll call
Mayor Kranjak,
here?
Council President Katrubis,
Here.
Councilmember Farrow,
Yeah.
Councilmember Park,
Yes.
Councilmember Di Gregorio. I don't see him on still. He's absent.
I think he might
Councilmember-
be showing up as Karen.
Councilmember Luciano. Councilmember Luciano is absent as well. Attorney Mensch,
Here.
Ms. Thompson Chin is absent as well.
Okay, thanks. Let's all rise for the flag salute. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Just want to give you a quick update on the COVID cases in town. This week we have 3. Last week we had 0, and the week before that we had 1. Also, I've spoken to the sisters at St. Joseph of Peace here in town about trying to find a community project with them jointly to support Ukrainian refugees. So we're working on that as well. Can I have a motion to go into closed session?
I make the motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, let's go into closed session, and I don't think we'll be too long, probably about 15 minutes. I can have a motion to come out of closed session, please.
Make the motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Okay, next on the agenda is resolution 22-80. This is to reappoint Stone and Manganini. Matt, was there anything to add into that resolution? I don't have it as part of my package.
No, it was, it's just a straightforward resolution with regard to reaffirm Stone and Manganini's representation of the borough on the pending affordable housing appeal for the purposes of oral argument, which is coming up in April. And if the borough wanted to, if the governing body wanted to set any other additional terms, they could.
Should there be a
Mr. Mensch,
stated
we don't-
rate?
What's that, Mayor?
Should there be a stated rate in there?
I think that would answer some of the questions that were concerned by the,
So is
by
it
the-
the existing rate that they're at for Stone and Manganini, or?
What is that existing rate, Mayor?
Stone
What is
and
that?
Manganini-
What is the existing rate, Mayor? Tell us all in the public, what is that existing rate?
You know, well, hold on, we're having a conversation with Mr. Mensch.
And I'm asking you a question.
I don't have the number on top of my head right now.
Oh, okay, because we don't have one.
No, there is a rate.
There is no rate. Let's be honest. Tell the public honestly,
I have
there
no
is
idea
no
what you're
rate.
talking about. Mr. Mensch, please just focus on the resolution that was.
Yes,
made.
So I would recommend a $200 an hour rate. And you put it in the resolution, and then we end the question about what their rate is. If they
Well,
have a
Mr.
problem with it,
Mi-
they can
Mr.
come back
Mensch,
and give us an issue.
Mr. Mensch, the mayor,
Yes, Councilman.
the mayor just made a comment about their existing rate. I would ask any one of my fellow council members and our council and our mayor to please tell me, because I'm going to tell everybody and the public and you, I have no idea what he means by an existing rate, because to this moment, to this exact moment in time, there's never been a discussion or an
Okay,
agreement to
so-
a rate. Mayor, please,
So,
Laura,
hold on,
I
this is
make,
not discussion. I did
I'd
not
like to make a
recognize you.
motion
We
that when
follow
someone is
Robert's rules.
speaking,
Is
like
there
the
a motion
mayor,
to
please
approve?
stop him.
Is there a motion to approve?
No,
make
because
the
I have a
motion.
question.
Is there a second?
Second.
Is there a discussion?
Yes, there is. May I be recognized, please?
Now you could be recognized, Mr. Luciano. but
Thank
not
you,
before,
Mr.
not
Mayor,
later,
Mr. Kranjak.
just
Thank you.
now. And
Thank
keep
you.
it short, keep it
Thank-
clear.
I'll keep it as
keep
long as I
simple,
want. You
And
gave
don't
me
use
the
to say
floor.
vulgarities.
You
that
gave
used
me
in
the
closed
floor.
session.
Please
Your
stop.
mouth was so filthy tonight.
Please stop.
And
So,
it will be reflected in the
Mensch,
minutes of our closed session.
Mr.
The
Mensch,
vulgarities, the
Mr. Mensch,
profanities, and the poor
Mr. Mensch,
language.
can you please
Yeah.
tell me where the resolution is for 2280? Because I never got it in any packet that was sent to me.
There is no resolution that has been prepared.
There's no, so once again, no disrespect to you, Mr. Mensch, it's really our problem, but I'm really getting more than just a little frustrated that we're going to be making motions. This is something that it's on the agenda. It's clearly on the agenda, and this is every meeting, it seems like we're voting on things that we don't have a written resolution. And then
Laura,
we
let's
hear
have a
about
roll
how
call.
Laura has to go back and you have to go back and review the audio. It's not fair to you.
Ms. Borchers,
It's
let's
not
have a
fair to
roll call.
Laura. It's
Oh,
not
okay.
fair to any of us, okay? Discussion, Laura, don't even start it because
Let's have a roll
discussion
call.
isn't over yet.
Discussion's
So,
over.
no, you don't do that because we
Discussion is
called the
over.
question and we didn't
Well,
do
you've
that.
had your discussion. Does anybody
So,
else from council
Matt,
have anything to say?
So I'd like to say to the
You
public
said
that,
it
you know
already.
what?
You said it.
We're
said it.
voting on something that, like the mayor said, we've been using this law firm. We appointed them as special counsel. We never, ever, ever, until we decided tonight, because I brought it up with my filthy mouth in closed session about how we don't have a rate. And
Okay,
we're gonna
let's have
hire
a
an
vote.
attorney again without having a rate. So
We just put it right in the
thankfully we
resolution.
have,
There-
thankfully
in
we
case
have,
you missed
we
it because you're
have-
too busy
we
going
have
about things,
competent counsel
There is a
that
rate
is
in the
going to tell us,
resolution.
only because I raised it in closed
There is
session,
a
but
rate in the
there's-
resolution.
only
okay?
because we have
So
competent
you just
counsel
have to
now
stop
that
and
is
let the
going
vote
to tell
happen.
us that we
Laura,
should
go ahead and have a
insert
vote.
a rate. Well, David still wants to be recognized too for discussion, so you can't just
Okay,
do that.
so can you stop?
No, when I'm done, I'll
David, go
stop.
ahead. Go ahead, David.
Are you finished?
Thank you, Councilman. I am. No, not because Mario's saying I'm
Enough.
done, because
Enough
I'm
from
done.
you, Mr.
Enough with
Luciano.
you, Mario.
Enough.
Enough with you.
Enough. I
Enough
don't
with
like it
you.
when you drink and you come to these meetings.
I know I'm drinking. I know. And you're smoking and doing
Mr.
drugs.
DiGregorio, go ahead.
And you're at the Turkish baths in New York too. So give me a break.
So
I have no idea what you're talking about, but
I
if
know.
that's where you are, I feel sorry for you. Go ahead, Mr. DiGregorio.
we look at the big picture on this. This is oral arguments for Mr. Mensch. Can you maybe articulate it better than I can so the public can know?
Yes, this is, right now, the borough has oral argument on its appeal, which has been briefed and is pending in the appellate division on the affordable housing litigation. Stone and Maganini was appointed as special counsel for this litigation at the reorg meeting. They are still counsel for the borough. But because there has been, because the borough removed them as counsel from the malpractice action towards the end of that case, they wanted, before they appeared in court on behalf of the borough, they asked for the borough to reaffirm the fact that the borough wants them to represent the borough before the appellate division. The borough has to have an attorney. Boroughs cannot appear unrepresented, so they have to have counsel appear.
Mr. Mensch, on that last case, Mr. Mensch, when we terminated them, didn't we all get an email that reminded us, especially to me, that I didn't know the law and that we couldn't terminate them and that they had to stay on the case until the court removes them? So in this case right here, I know we talked about it in closed session, but I want the public to, since Mario and, everybody on the council wants to be transparent. So isn't it true that they have to represent us because the court hasn't released them?
That's a different issue.
Well, you're not our
So-
counsel, thank God.
So I don't think right now
But I'm right.
that, I don't think that this
You're never
resolution
right.
is legally necessary, but I think from a practical standpoint, they could request the court let them out. The court may or may not do. If the court let them out, then the borough would be potentially on the hook for more attorney's fees to have to hire somebody else to go and get up to speed and to appear for the case. So
But
they've
they're not
asked
gonna
for
be
this.
I'm sorry to interrupt you, but they're not going to let them out before April 10th oral
We-
arguments.
we
Let's be
want
honest.
people that we
Let's be
hire
honest.
that
They're
will
not
pay-
going to be
All
let
right,
out
enough,
before
enough
April
dis-
10th.
I'm closing
I'm talking
discussion.
to the
Laura,
mayor, I'm
please have the
talking to
vote.
our council. You can't call the vote. I'm telling
No,
Mayor.
no, we're having to vote.
No, you
said-
can't.
you
Mr.
said
Mensch,
your
can you
piece.
please
Mr.
answer your question,
Gregorio said his
please?
Yeah,
piece.
so,
We're
so.
having to vote. Laura, mute him if he's interrupted.
Councilman, I can answer the question real quick, Mayor. We don't know the answer to that question, Councilman, in terms of, I don't know what the appellate division would or wouldn't do, but it's not good for the borough or good for anybody to have, you're gonna, if they do the work, you're gonna have to pay them for it anyway at this point, based on the fact that they're approved special counsel. So you're better off having a clear rate set in this resolution, having a clear understanding that they know that they're being requested to do this work, and you don't have a situation where they are requesting to be let out and the court does, and then now you're paying more money to get up to speed on the case then.
Okay.
Thank you,
Laura,
sir.
please have the vote.
Councilman Farrow,
Yes.
Councilman Park,
Yes.
Councilman Di Gregorio,
Abstain.
Councilman Luciano,
Abstain.
Council
Actually,
President.
no,
Kitru-
I vote no. I'm not even abstaining. I say no.
Make up your mind.
Council
Okay,
President
I abstain.
Kutrudas.
No, I say no.
Yes.
Passes, Mayor.
Right, it passes. Next is 22-81, fill council vacancy. You have a
Mr.
motion?
Mensch, who put that, which council member put that on the agenda?
I put that on.
You put that on.
You
Did you
have a
go
mo-
through did you go through the agenda committee, Mayor?
Do I have a motion?
I just have a question. Did you put that through the
We're not
agenda
having
committee?
discussion right now and you're not recognized. Do we have a motion?
That means no, public.
I made the motion.
Is there a second? Okay, it fails. There's no second. 22-82, create affordable housing committee. Do I have a motion?
I make the motion.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, is there a discussion?
Yes, I'd like to know where the resolution is for that, please.
It's not in my package. I don't know where it is.
Oh, so this is another, once again, and Tim, Councilman Katrubis, with all due respect, I know you're going to say it's virtually what we've done before. But I think with something of this magnitude, to leave it without a resolution is really ill-advised, and especially since, as the mayor will point out, sometimes we get things and can't comprehend
No,
them. So
don't
I
speak
want to
for me.
make
I'll speak
sure
for
that
myself. The
I
last
want
thing
to
would
make
want
sure
you
that,
to-
you know
The
what?
last
that
thing
we
I would
all-
want is Glenn
Mr.
Luciano.
Mayor, can we
speaking
please,
for
can
me.
I please
Yeah,
talk?
but do not use
Can
my
I
name.
please
in vain.
talk?
Do not
Can I
use my
please
name in
talk?
vain.
Can I
Speak for
please talk?
yourself.
Can I please talk?
Speak for yourself.
I'm speaking for myself.
All right,
I'm
do
not
not
speaking
mention
for
it.
anybody
Do not
but
mention it.
myself. So I'm just curious about that. If someone, can,
So Mr. Katrubis, why don't you frame? the resolution?
I'll frame it. Yeah, it's reinstating the ad hoc committee that you had voted prior last May. The terms are no different. The only thing I'm proposing is because Mr. Farrow did not want to be part of the committee. I'm just proposing to change the members to myself, Mr. Park, and the resident remains the same.
who's that resident?
Heyman Mehta.
And
Now, with
Mr.
that being, with
Okay,
that being
sorry.
said, that does not mean that Mr. Mehta is accepting this at this point for various reasons. And I think that I've been trying to bring solutions to the council for the past 15 months. It's a shame that it has gone this far. And I believe that anybody who doesn't support this is doesn't have any, first of all, there's no council member here that has the qualifications to really unpack what's going on. And I'm trying to bring solutions to the table. I believe that this resident brings a plethora of resources that will be able to assist us in making decisions. If you don't want this thing, that's fine with me. But in the end, the public should know that you have no intention in bringing viable solutions to the table, because I haven't seen another council person, with the exception of Mr. Park thus far, bring any solutions to the table, and I'll leave it at that.
We've brought solutions to the table, but no one feels that those are the best solutions. To
What
me,
solutions are those,
from,
Glenn?
to settle the case. We've
Look-
already wasted $1 million. We're not going to win. It's a constitutional requirement.
Right.
And all we're doing is like Mayor, that Kranjak wants us to believe that we have the best attorneys that are going to win. We're going to 90% positive we're going to win the malpractice. We lost it. 90%, we're going
Let's-
to win the
let's stay focused.
affordable housing.
Stay
We're
focused.
losing at every turn. Everything that
Stay
Kranjak
focused,
has
Mr.
done,
Luciano.
we have
Okay.
lost.
Finish
Every
up, 'cause
one
I
of
want the
these
floor.
great
Finish
attorneys
up,
we've
finish
lost.
up. Okay,
So
there's-
Tim, you know what my concern is? I've expressed it to you before, and we still didn't get a written legal opinion about the attorney-client privilege with having a civilian, not an elected official, not someone that's been
Okay.
appointed to the planning board, to tell us that Mr. Mehta, once we start including him, and if anybody looks at the Cadwalader bill for December, every single thing on there is from Mr. Mehta. And we never got a briefing. Cadwalader is training Mr. Mehta to use their computer system. Now,
Yeah,
now,
let's-
is
let's-
that a violation?
Let's,
Is that a violation of
let's,
Can I,
let's step
attorney-client
away from that
privilege?
because let's
Can I have
step
the
away from
floor?
that for a moment. Okay, Mr. Mehta did a fantastic job in renegotiating the rates.
What's
Okay,
the rates?
look, I'm not going to go there at this
But
point.
Councilman,
can
that's
I-
not fair. We
Guys,
want to be
guys,
you know
transparent,
it's fair.
but you don't want to talk
It's
about it in
fair.
Guys, I'd
public.
like to have the floor, and I
No,
didn't
the
interrupt.
council
Mr.
don't even know
Luciano.
what the rate is.
Mr. Luciano, I did not interrupt you. I want the floor for 5 minutes. Please, shut your mouth right
No,
now.
now I'm not. Now
Let me
everything, when
finish.
you talk to me that way, I'm
Laura,
going to
please
talk
mute him.
over you.
Laura, mute him.
Okay.
I don't want to do this. I do not want to
Well,
do this.
you can interrupt us and you're going to tell me
No,
that,
I
you know,
let
to
you
shut
speak.
up. You
I
shut
let you
up.
speak, and I want the floor, and I want to say the following. This isn't about building affordable housing or not building affordable housing. We all recognize that in New Jersey, the law is broken, the Constitution has been broken, and the system is broken. This is about a town wanting to comply with laws that it doesn't agree with, like I always said, but we will comply because it is the law. As bad as those laws are, we will comply. But how we comply
tell.
is the issue. The issue is we want to comply on our own terms. And isn't it funny how for 40 years before I became mayor, not a
$6 million,
single unit of affordable
Mayor.
housing was built in
Our
Englewood
residents
Cliffs,
have paid
okay?
$6
And then
million
all of a sudden, I become
Our
mayor,
residents
a Republican mayor, God
$6
forbid, in the
because of
Democratic
your-
stronghold. Mr. Di Gregorio, I have the floor.
I
Shut
know,
your
but-
mouth right now. Shut
Shut your
mouth.
mouth. No, now we're both
Laura,
going to
you
talk. 'cause
both
We
of
don't
them, please.
appreciate the way you
Laura,
talk. Laura,
No,
don't
isn't
you
it amazing that after 40 years of Joe Parisi and
Right.
Joe Parisi's father and Dramones and all these other people that you see on the screen and Geiger,
Laura, if you
not a
mute me again, I'm
single
gonna make a
unit
motion
of
to terminate you.
affordable
I'm
housing
just telling
was
you right
built.
now.
And then
Okay.
I become mayor, and all of a sudden, oh my God, Englewood Cliffs is the worst place in the world. They don't have any affordable housing. Well, let me tell you something. I had the first project for affordable housing. And you know what? Your people, Mr. Luciano, tried to stop that project on Hudson Terrace because they were not going to make money.
My people.
That is the problem with Englewood Cliffs. and with New
O'Toole,
Jersey, is that
300,000, right? My
affordable
people.
Housing means that corrupt politicians
Cadwalader, $1 million.
money,
My
okay?
people,
That
right?
is the problem. Okay. And so when you speak about affordable housing and my view of it, be clear. It's the law. We will comply with it. And
We
I
sure
will
will.
always say that. And I always did say that. But it is you people and the Geigers of the world and the Di Gregorios and the Wunches of the world that try to twist that around.
Right, and it's the
If you do it
O'Shea's
my
and the
way,
Eastwoods
your
and the
corrupt friends don't
Kranjaks
make a penny.
and the
Okay? And
McMorrows,
that's it. Can I
right, and
have
the
a,
Pharaohs. I
can I have a
understand.
vote on the Affordable Housing Committee?
I
please?
understand.
Okay, well.
And
can
you
I-
interrupted me, and I don't, you don't think that's the right thing to do, Mr. Luciano? But it's clear that something is off about you tonight, and that's a problem. Do not come to these meetings in that situation.
Let's have them in public so you can see
Excuse
that
me,
there's nothing off about
Mayor.
me because that's what we voted on.
Mr. Di
And you're
Gregorio,
not
go ahead.
following what the council voted on.
Mr. DeGore, as soon as your fellow councilman shuts his mouth, you can have the floor. But it's so difficult for him to do that.
So I'd just like to simply say, I think it's great to get residents involved on committees. And if there's expertise in the community, we would be remiss in not taking advantage of it. I don't think that, I think a committee is very possible, doesn't have to be sanctioned or voted on. You get the group of people, you meet somewhere, You come up with some solutions and then it's funneled through one of the council people. If Mr. Mehta has something to contribute, if I was not on council and I had something to contribute, I would be glad to do it.
You ever
But
play telephone, David?
What's
You ever
up?
play telephone? Your theory doesn't work. It sounds nice on paper, doesn't work.
Well, this is one of
You
my
should vote for this
recommendations,
committee.
is
The
that
public is watching you, and they will watch you. They're gonna find out exactly what has happened.
is that we have a committee, and let's all go out and let's go sit around the table and let's discuss possible things. You know what? I think that's the prudent way to do it. It doesn't open us up to any kind of litigation. We need to have a sanctioned committee by the council. The second piece of this is, and I would be remiss in not saying this, is that all of this litigation that we're discussing tonight and others, it's all been through the emotional reaction of Mayor Kranjak in the past. We are up to about 6 million, almost $7 million now. And it's all been because Mayor has not been logical and not been wise. He's made decisions out of his personal angry ideology.
I don't make decisions,
And
David. The
that
council-
has
David's talking, Mayor.
Town. That is
David, I don't make
town.
decisions.
David's talking, Mayor.
So what we really need to do is we need to extricate ourselves from all of this. Oh my God, all of this litigation. Let's do playgrounds. Let's put welcome signs up. Let's clean up the town. Let's make our playgrounds great. People are tired.
You'll have an opportunity to
People-
do that.
David's talking, Mayor.
Excuse me.
David, you will get to vote on.
David's
cars.
talking, Mayor.
People are tired
dialogue.
of all of this litigation. They want to.
David, our population, our public.
David's talking,
our
Mayor.
residents do not want
David's talking,
high-density
Mayor.
housing
I'm gonna
at
keep
800
your-
Sylvan.
I
And for
really
6
don't
years,
want to
I've
hear
kept the
that.
shovel out of that ground.
I really don't want to hear any more of this angry talk, these angry speeches. bringing
Right,
up things
and
that
I don't
have
want to hear you be a
absolutely
socialist
nothing-
Marxist either, David. We're not going to give our town away
Come
to
on, let's-
anybody who wants it, okay? That's
we
it.
we just need to get to work and put all this.
Name calling,
have-
right, Mayor?
We have these balls and chains, this whole town, around our ankles. We need to extricate ourselves from them. And it's going to cost a little more money to do that, but it's better than mounting up the debt in the future. So that's all I have to say. And Councilman Katrubis, I respect that you have ideas, that you want to frame things, but I just don't understand why that can't be done around a table in town and then propose it to the council. You got a great idea. Mr. Mehta has a great idea. Great. Is it possible? Let's check it out with Mr. Mensch.
Let me
Mr.
ask you a question,
Mensch,
David, because I
okay.
respect what you're saying. But how many conversations have we ever had in the past 3 months regarding affordable housing? How
A
much
lot.
time?
A lot.
No, that's not true. Why don't, actually, if it's a lot, fine, quantify it for me in terms of minutes. I would like for you to quantify it for me in minutes. I would like for,
We've discussed things that you got.
Muted and booted, I'll tell you.
yeah, quantify it for me. What is it, an hour?
How many
hours?
conversations, let's see. How many updates did we get on $1 million worth of legal fees from Stone and Manganini? 0 minutes, 0 emails. I know that the mayor has,
You guys
the
tore
wait,
it
let,
down.
please,
That's your
Tim, let me
fault,
finish.
Glenn.
The
No,
mayor, the
no, you
mayor
can't
has
just
had
do it.
over 200 emails from Cadwalader. I have had 0.
I've had 0 also.
The-
So
I
what will
have
we-
very
Tim,
few from Cadwalader as well.
Councilman
It has nothing to
Katrubis.
do with the ad hoc committee.
Councilman
Glenn.
Katrubis, what, no, you asked, you didn't ask about the committee. You asked a specific question. How many minutes did we have a conversation about affordable housing?
Yeah,
How many
in 3
minutes,
months.
how many minutes has this council had discussion about affordable housing? With the mayor in charge, that we're fighting this and $1 million plus in the red this year because none of it was in the budget. $100,000 was what we approved for an investigation, by the way, that an investigation that now is found to be frivolous. And the mayor at the last meeting said the complaint was the report on the charges that we were going to bring. And the court found that they were frivolous and without merit. And not only that, but they were only filed to harass.
Did you expect?
So there's
anything
been
else
not
from this
one
court?
conversation
Did you
about,
expect
there's been
anything
not
else?
one conversation about affordable housing, and you know it as well as I do, Tim.
Okay, Tim,
How
let's
many
have a
times,
vote.
how many times have we sat down, whether in closed session or in public, just like this? We want to talk about an affordable housing committee. The last time we brought this up, I said, what's going to be their charge? And the response was, I don't have anything else to say in public. So if we're being transparent, what is the committee's charge? What is the committee really going to be doing? We're at the end of everything with affordable housing.
We're only
So are
at
we
the
going to pull a
beginning.
rabbit out of
No,
our
no, no.
hat? Do we
We're
think
at
we're
the-
going to
Glenn,
pull a
we're-
rabbit
We're
out of our
only at the
hat?
beginning. We're
Glenn,
only
We're
at
at
the
the
beginning.
beginning. You're totally hallucinating.
We're actually only at the beginning. Tim, do
I
you
know.
wanna
You
just
think
have a
it's going
vote,
to the
or do you wanna
Supreme
keep
Court of the United
discussing?
States
Yeah,
and
I
you're going
like-
to be a hero.
I'd like to make a I'd like to make.
You
a
already
motion
did.
to
You
carry-
did.
motion
We
was
just have a roll
made.
call.
It was seconded. Let's do a roll call.
Councilman Farrow, Councilman,
And that's your majority, Tim, right there. Don't blame it on David and I. The Republicans
Councilman-
have the majority,
Councilman Park,
and Pharaoh and the
Yes.
mayor are resisting your committee,
Yes.
so don't blame it
Glenn,
on
you have
us.
to stop talking. Just stop talking.
I
Councilman-
don't
We
have
a
to
vote.
stop talking.
You have to
Councilman
stop
Di
talking.
Gregorio,
No,
Councilman Luciano,
I abstain.
Council President Katurbis. Council President Katurbis, is he muted?
Yes. I don't even understand why any of these things are even on the agenda, guys. You're just wasting the public's time. Again, Ramon, you're not, you're only interested in obstructing, and this is nothing more than just simple revenge in order for you to see people fail, and that's all it comes down to. And really, you
Mr.
should be
Mensch, is that
ashamed of
a-
yourself.
Mr. Mensch.
Mr. Mensch,
Two noes,
we have
yeses,
two
and a-
ayes, 2 nays, 1 abstain. This
You
is
have
fail
no
or pass.
interest- You have no interest in helping the public, Ramon. You have
Well,
no
if an
interest.
abstention is counted as a no, that sounds to me
Hold
as
on,
three
Hold
to
on,
David.
two.
Mr. Luciano, as much
3
of
to
a
2.
lawyer as you think you are,
3
I'm
to
asking
2.
Mr. Mensch.
Mr. Mensch
All
will
you
tell
care
you, 3 to
about
2.
is just answering to your handlers.
There
Mr.
you
Mensch,
go.
how does it go?
How does it go, Mr. Mensch? Please tell us.
It fails.
All right, it fails. All right, the next one up is
Was I right, Mr. Mayor?
22-83, ratify.
Was I correct,
action-
Mr. Mayor?
Excuse me, Mr. Luciano.
Was I
these
correct, is
meetings
all
would
I
be
wanna
3
know.
hours shorter if
Was
you
I
would
correct?
just
Was
stop
I
interrupting everyone.
correct? Was I
Okay,
correct?
next up, and Laura, if he continues to interrupt me, please mute him and just basically tell him that I.
Mute me and boot me.
You should be booted, really. You
I
have no
know.
business being in polite society
Absolutely.
or civil society.
Absolutely.
22-83, ratify actions taken at 3/9/22 meeting. So, Mr. Mensch, are these all the actions, or do you want?
Yeah, so this was only on here, I think, because there was a question after the last meeting. There was a couple votes where it was 2 yeses, either 2 yeses and 2 abstentions, or 2 yeses, 1 abstention and 1 no. Mayor, you voted to break the tie in both of those instances. And I believe that was correct, that there's no definitive answer on whether or not the mayor breaks a tie in an instance where there are 2 yeses and 2 abstentions. My opinion is that you can break the tie and everything at the meeting was proper, but if anybody had any questions, if you wanted to vote to ratify those actions, if anybody was concerned, had a question about it, then we could do that.
And what was that?
Do you have a list? Yeah.
What was that? What-
Yeah, hold on. I'd have to go back and look at the other agenda. For what it's worth, I don't think this is necessary at all, but because folks had questions about it, I think I'll put on the agenda. I'll tell you what the,
Motion to table.
second,
No, we're in the middle of discussion.
You're in the middle of
with
nothing.
our
You
attorney.
didn't take a motion in a second. I made a motion. It's
Excuse
on
me.
the floor. There's been a
Excuse me.
second.
Look.
Motion to
look,
table. You
look,
don't,
no,
you
no,
don't,
there-
you.
There's no motion pending. Mr. Mensch.
There
is
is a
going to
motion pending.
clarify.
There's a
You
motion
don't even know
pending.
what you're tabling, in other words.
I'm tabling this resolution right here to
Mr. Mensch was
ratify
going to
the
explain it to everyone.
3/9/22
You are so
meeting.
disruptive. You are
I
so
just wanted
disruptive.
to hear the,
I
There
make
was
a motion to
question
call the
pending.
question.
call the question, please.
There was, no. Laura,
I
do
make a
not do
motion to
that.
call the
I want
question.
Mr. Mensch to explain.
I make a
what he was
motion
in
to
the middle
call
of
the
explaining.
question and David
Laura, please
seconded
mute
it.
him. Laura, please mute
Don't
him.
mute me,
Please.
Laura.
yeah.
I'm warning you.
Laura, turn over
Guys.
controls to me, please. Just turn over
Guys,
controls.
don't
You're
make
not
it
allowed to
difficult
do that
for me.
either, because
Alright.
we've
Mr.
made a
Mensch,
motion.
go
We have a
ahead.
resolution that the
Mr.
mayor
Mensch,
cannot
I
control. the
I
meeting.
apologize to the public, but Mr. Luciano is just not fit for society, okay? Because he does not even permit our attorney to answer a simple
Mensch,
question.
Mr. Mensch.
Please, Mr. Mensch, go ahead.
If I could just very quickly, the issues from the last agenda, which I believe, quite frankly, were mostly non-controversial, I thought, was the borough passed the payment of vouchers with the removal of the attorney's fees that were generally, that get pulled off every time for Bernstein and for Geist and for Cadwalder, if there were any on there. So that was the first resolution. That was approved by 2 yeses and 2 abstentions. The mayor voted to break the tie. If it had failed, then none of your employees, vendors, et cetera, would have been paid. Then there was the consent agenda for ordinances. The ordinances that were there was the appointment of the CFO, Gordon Stetler, the CDBG grant application, the Open Space County grant application, the HARP 2022 nursing service contract renewal, and the temporary budget amendment for there was a budget transfer for general code expenses. So those were the items. That group of resolutions was 2 yeses, 1 no, and 1 abstention. The mayor voted to break a tie. I believe that is all proper, but as I've said to anybody who asked me, there is nothing that I can point to you that conclusively says that in that specific instance, when there is 2 yeses, 1 no, 1 abstention under the borough form of government, that the mayor breaks the tie. So, I don't believe you have to do this, but it's a belt and suspenders. So that way there's never a question that the employees weren't paid or the vendors weren't paid or the grant applications weren't properly applied.
I would like to make a motion to table.
Is there a second?
I think, David, we didn't hear you. It looked like you said second, but we didn't hear you.
Second it.
So let's have a vote on
I'll
the,
second it.
Discussion?
we had that already.
Councilman, there is not discussion on motions to table.
Okay, thank you.
So let's just have a vote to table. Take the roll call.
Just
Councilman
second,
Fer-
just second. I have a question. Last meeting, I was not attended, and I can vote today or just abstain.
I don't think there's any reason why you have to abstain if you don't want to. You're simply, you're voting on ratifying the actions that were taken, which were already taken, in my opinion. It's already there. And if you were there, you would have been able to vote on all these items. So
Oh, okay.
Is this,
I don't think there's any reason why you'd have to abstain.
well, Matt, if you're
Councilman-
saying that
Yep.
there's no reason for us to have to move this, that's the reason why I'm making to table it.
Yeah.
If we paid the employees and
Yep.
we did everything that you said, and I have faith in what you're telling us,
Yep.
why do we need to redo this? I understand the
Well-
suspender part,
well-
but
Yeah, so the answer, you don't have to do it. My job as your attorney, one of my jobs as your attorney, is to try to always protect the borough against any possible challenges to anything that it does.
yes, sir.
So therefore, because there was a question raised, again, I don't think it's necessary, but it's a belt and suspenders. So if you vote on it tonight to ratify it, then there's no questions. It doesn't matter whether it's ratified. So I think it's an academic exercise, which is probably, kind of spending more of our time on an issue that's not an issue than we need to, but
Good. So
better safe than sorry, as far as I'm concerned.
I'm good either way at this point. You explained it very nicely and thoroughly, and thank you.
So call the
Okay.
motion to table.
Councilman Farrow? Councilman Farrow?
Yeah, I just wanted to make sure that I did mention that I wanted to pay all the bills.
But we already did.
Okay, so yes to table.
Councilman Park?
Yes,
Councilman Di Gregorio?
At this point, no.
Councilman Luciano?
Yeah, I'm gonna take our council's advice and say we no need to move forward with it. I'll motion table. Table, yes, my vote is yes.
Very
Council
simple.
President Katurbis? Council
Yes.
President Katurbis. Passes, Mayor.
Okay, next up, 22-84, appoint conflict counsels for Oprah litigations. Matt, is there anything else needed there?
No, I think everyone has these resolutions. I think we talked about it at the last meeting in closed session, but we
Okay,
acted on it. Yeah.
can I have, is there a motion?
So move.
Is there a second?
Second.
Is there a discussion? Can I have a roll call?
Councilman Farrow,
Yes,
Councilman Park,
Yes.
Councilman Di Gregorio,
Yes,
Councilman Luciano,
Mr. Mensch. this
You
is
should abstain,
80
Count. You should
that's- I was gonna recuse.
Yeah, you should recuse yourself from this.
Thank you. That's what I was gonna do. Recuse. I just wanted to make sure we're asking you a question.
All
I
right,
recuse myself from this vote. Thank you.
Council President Katurbis.
Second,
Yes.
all right.
I need.
That's
to-
22-85,
Hold
appoint
on,
conflict
hold
counsel.
on, please. Mr. Mensch,
Did you vote, Mr. Di Gregorio?
I'm recusing myself.
Okay.
Yeah, David, wait, just for
Hold on,
clarification,
Mr.
David, this is
Mr.
not
Di
has anything
Gregorio,
to do with you,
we
David.
follow Robert's Rules of Order, so you address me, ask for permission to speak to him. And
Permission.
then I may or may not grant it, because we just did that vote. We have to get through our agenda. You'll have an opportunity later to speak.
Well, no, I'd like-
22-85.
Sure you will.
appoint conflict counsel for the Eastwood Oprah litigation. Can I have a motion?
may I speak with Mr. Mensch, please?
But we're in the middle of a meeting, sir. Sir.
When
we
else
are
are
in
you
the middle of
supposed
a
to
meeting.
talk to him?
We are going to have a motion and we'll have a discussion and you could talk to him then. 22-85.
Point of order.
Mayor, I think there was a question about the last vote, which I think is a legal issue that needs to be addressed
He
at the
already
time of the
voted.
vote, Mayor.
He
Thank you.
voted already.
Thank you,
Yeah,
Mr.
but I
Mensch.
think he was concerned about a legal issue, and if I'm wrong, Councilman, then we can speak
But
later.
he's
but-
had time for this legal issue. He's just wasting our time, Mr. Mensch. Floor it. No, we're not
Mr.
doing
Mensch,
that.
I'm asking
We've
for
had
your-
enough. No,
Mr. Men.
no. You've
Mr.
wasted our
Mensch.
time enough, Mr. Di Gregorio. You'll have your answer later.
No,
22-85.
Mayor, I'm
Point
sorry, but I
conflict.
disagree. We have to address the legal issue with the vote now.
He
because
voted
otherwise
already.
we can't be-
Thank you, Mr. Mensch.
Mr.
Yes, but-
Mensch, Mr. Mensch, he
Mayor.
voted. I have
Thank
the
you.
floor. I'm the chair. Enough of this wasting of time. He's had a week to get ready for this. He doesn't need to ask you all the time. They're just wasting our time. Stop it. Mr. Mensch, stop it. 22-85.
Mayor,
appoint
No, I
conflict
have to
counsel.
ask, when somebody asks me a question at a
Mr.
meeting, I have
Mensch,
to be able to answer
Mr.
it.
Mensch, Mr. Mensch, I have the floor. I'm the chair. I am directing you, Mr. Mensch, to stop it. Stop
Mayor,
wasting all of our
Mayor,
time,
you-
Mr. Mensch.
You
Mr.
cannot, you cannot
it.
stop a
You're giving
council
us bad
member
advice
from
from day
asking,
one.
you
You're
cannot
giving us
ask a
bad
council
advice.
member.
Stop wasting our time.
Mayor, this is wasting time. This
You're
wastes
wasting our
time.
time. We're
This-
going through our agenda.
The good thing for me is I keep getting paid the more time these meetings go
But
on.
Mr.
So
Mensch, you
it's
get
okay.
paid and you're wrong most
So-
of the time.
So
And we
so,
have to pay
Mayor,
you again to fix
I
it.
would suggest if you just let him answer the question, I can answer
Mr.
it and we'd be
Mensch,
done.
It would have been
We're in
done
an agenda,
5
Mr.
minutes
Mensch.
ago.
Mr. Mensch, you don't run your meetings like that. Don't come to
No.
my town and pretend you're the mayor.
You
sit
sound very
there-
hostile, Mayor.
Mr.
sound
Mensch,
very
you sit
angry and
there
hostile.
And you be an attorney here. I've
You
had
sound
enough of
hostile.
Luciano and Di
Yes,
Gregorio
and-
wasting our time. Mr.
Yes,
Mensch,
and there's a
stop it. You
legal
can talk to
question
him after.
about the vote that he may need to correct on the record, which is
Mr. Mensch,
permissible.
he voted. He voted.
But he's allowed to correct it.
He's allowed to correct it under Robert's rules, but he has to be able to ask a question to
We
do that.
moved on from
Not
that.
under Cranjack rules, but under the rules
Mr.
of
Mensch.
law.
Mr. Mensch,
He's allowed to.
We've had a motion, we've had a second, we've had discussion, we had a vote, and now the light bulbs are going off for this guy? Stop it.
How many
Stop it.
times have we go back and heard, I don't know, I don't know what I'm voting on. I don't know what the vote
22-85.
is, and we do it
Mr.
over.
Mensch, I need your advice.
Yes, Councilman.
Mr. Mensch, give him a
No.
quick answer, let's move on. These guys have wasted our time.
What's the question, Councilman?
Do you suggest I recuse myself on that particular, what was it, number?
As far as you're not a party to those litigations, I don't know that there's any, you could abstain by choice, but there's no legal reason why you'd have to abstain, unlike Councilman Di Gregorio, excuse me, Councilman Luciano, who has legal interests directly tied up in
And
it. I would
No.
say, I guess, because Wunsch is your attorney and one of the litigations regarding him, I guess it's better safe than sorry. You may as well.
Look, Mr. Mensch, it comes down to this. Do you want to apply the law or do you want to apply the Englewood Cliffs rules? Where
refuse.
Mr. Mensch and Mr. Wunsch could do whatever they want, and Di Gregorio gets to do whatever
Wow.
he wants. Which
Wow.
law do you want to apply? He
Wow.
voted.
Yeah.
Stop it.
Excuse- Please change my vote.
Remember that next time one of your
All right,
council members does
Mr.
that.
Luciano, you don't have the floor.
I know, but I'm talking anyway.
Mr. Di Gregorio, are you now changing your vote because now you finally have a conscience?
I am recusing.
All right, 22-85, appoint conflict counsel for Eastwood Oprah litigation. Do I have a motion?
Make a motion.
Is there a second?
Second.
Have a roll call?
No
Council-
discussion?
There's no discussion. We've discussed everything.
We don't have to follow Robert's rules.
We don't. We're gonna have a roll call.
Councilman Farrow,
Yes,
Councilman Park,
Yes,
Councilman Di Gregorio,
Abstain.
Councilman Luciano,
I recused myself.
Council President Katurbis.
Yes.
It passes.
22-86, approve payment of the money previously ordered by the court. I have no idea what that is, Mr. Mensch.
Yes, that's the order from the McMorro litigation from 2019. That was for payment of legal bills to Don Doherty's office.
Okay, is there a motion?
Make the motion.
Is there a second?
second,
Is there a discussion?
We
Have a
don't
roll
need
call.
discussion.
Councilman Farrow,
yes,
Councilman Park,
yes,
Councilman Di Gregorio,
Yes,
Councilman Luciano,
Yes,
Council President Katurbis.
Yes.
22-87, approve, disapprove Renault settlement agreement. Have a motion?
Make the motion.
Is this to approve, Tim?
To approve, yes.
Okay, this is to approve Renault settlement agreement. There's a motion. Is there a second?
second,
Is there discussion?
yes, I'd like to be recognized, please.
You're recognized. Keep it short.
Well, I'll keep it as long as I need to. But can someone please, I mean, since we're trying to be transparent and this agenda isn't, so I'm going to let the public know. The Renault settlement is for $300,000. This was a case that the administration, the mayor and the administration decided, I mean, he's going to tell you it was not to reappoint, and it was no big deal. But evidently it was a big deal since we're going to settle for $300,000. And when I raised this in closed session, the mayor said, we're better off without him, and $300,000 is nothing. But if we would have followed the law and done what we were supposed to do the correct way under Mario Kranjak's administration, there would have never been this, because if they would have done it right in the first place, there would never be a $300,000 settlement. So I just wanted the public to know the mayor's comment and the reason and the amount of this settlement.
So, okay, you're finished. Let me have the floor. This was an individual who was not reappointed at the end of his term. That was the advice of counsel that we received back in 2016 or 17, I think it was 16. And he wasn't reappointed to his position. He claimed that he had tenure, which
He did.
I don't believe he did. And the insurance companies have negotiated the settlement. I don't agree with it, but I also don't vote. And I didn't vote back then either, by the way. Mr. Luciano, be very, very, very careful with your words. And also, please respect the sanctity of closed session, because you will find yourself outside of closed session in the future.
Sure, I will.
Okay,
I would like to add.
that's it.
this is
Roll
a-
call, please.
No,
Well, no, David's talking.
I've got my hand up.
I
now.
can't hear you. You're far away from your microphone.
Can you hear me now? Okay.
Verizon.
So I would like to say that this again is a completely unnecessary expense, as I had mentioned in closed.
It is unnecessary.
And
I agree.
that if the mayor was more careful and acted out of logic, we would not be in the situation that we're in now. I think our responsibility, excuse me, I'm not finished. Our responsibility now is to play cleanup and get rid of these lawsuits and move forward for our community.
And-
I'm sorry.
Here,
we
here.
See this, but
Let me
that's-
just say, everybody, and to the public, the system in New Jersey is so broken. And it's going to take more than just me to fix it. Where
You have to
Where
learn-
government, where every single government employee feels that somehow they own you and that they're entitled to things that they're not entitled to. And judges will always find a way to get it to them because they are no better for the most part.
Our
So
administrator had a
That's
vendetta.
the system.
Our
that you-
administrator
the
had a
residents, let
vendetta.
me finish. I have the floor. I did not interrupt you. The administrative state in New Jersey, in Bergen County, in the United States government has taken over everything that an elected official would otherwise have the right to do. We are at a loss as taxpayers, okay? Your taxes, no matter if we have affordable housing or don't, are about 3-4 times higher than they should be for what you get back as a taxpayer in the state of New Jersey. You get nothing back. Instead, what you get are lawsuits from every employee who's unhappy with what happens to them.
I
Okay,
have a
Yeah.
solution. I have a
let's have a
solution.
roll call.
I have a solution. Why don't you run for higher office and solve all of the world's problems? Because evidently you're at war with the whole world. And you know what?
No, actually, no.
He has a
Taxpayers
vendetta.
of America and I.
That's
are
what happened to
winning.
all of our lawsuits.
And
The
The
we are
vendetta.
paying
The
dearly for it.
taxpayers
We
and
don't have
citizens of
to.
America, people who have American values, want to work, want to pay their
Hold on.
fair taxes, be protected, and not be abused by leftist politicians and their judges. Those are the people I represent. And everyone's welcome to join us.
It's.
All right.
And the lady
Have
with
a
the
roll
Heil
call,
Hitler
please.
sign
We're
too.
running a town. Let's run it and let's be wise about it. And let's
Have
not
a
make
roll call?
decisions out of emotions.
We've been very wise.
Councilman Farrow,
I'm going to recuse.
Councilman Park,
Good idea.
Yes,
Councilman Di Gregorio,
Settle, yes.
Councilman Luciano,
I'm waiting for my text from the mayor. Oh, yes, I vote yes.
Waiting for Karen to tell you what to say.
Council President
Waiting for my
Katurbis?
text from the mayor.
I don't text you.
Council President Katurbis. It passes.
Okay, can I have a motion to open to the public, please?
I make a motion to adjourn.
We're opening to the public. Do I have
Got a motion and a second on the floor, Matt. Please
No, no,
call,
you know
call the
what?
question.
No, we're following the
public
agenda.
has to- the
Oh,
public needs to say.
Listen, Mr. Luciano, if you have something better to do, go do it, because quite frankly, we're not gonna miss you. Is there a motion to open to the public?
Motion to open to the public.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
All right.
aye.
Anyone opposed? Okay, we're open to the public. If you wish to be heard, please raise your hand. State your name and address. Mrs. O'Shea, I see your hand is up. Please unmute yourself.
Thank you, Mayor. I had my hand up from the beginning of the meeting because normally you have the public session before the votes. That way, the public can make comments to the council before they cast their vote. So I hope that you, in the future, go back to that.
Yeah, I'm sorry about that. I'm not sure what happened on our agenda tonight, Ms. Borchers. Why was the public put after the resolutions?
I'm not aware of that, Mayor. There was an error on my part.
Okay, Mrs.
That it was,
O'Shea, you're
it was a
right.
special meeting.
You're right, Mrs.
All right.
O'Shea. We apologize. Will you, do you have
Okay,
anything else?
Yeah, well, I would, there's a couple of things I would like to bring up. I was prepared to speak to this before the vote, but as the Affordable Housing Committee did not pass, I think I have time to bring it up now. I'd like to ask Mr. Katrubis if he thinks that Mr. Mehta, as a resident, will be voiding the confidentiality of a committee if he is put on.
I believe it's been addressed already, Mrs. O'Shea, through our council. We're way past that.
I didn't think he ever gave an answer. Mr. Munch never gave an answer.
Mr. Munch I believe Mr. Munch didn't need to give an answer, but I'll let him, I won't speak for him.
He avoids the question. Okay, I have another question for you. Mr. Katrubis, do you think that Mr. Mehta, who owns a piece of property, I believe, abutting or if not in the overlay zone, should be on a affordable housing committee dealing with affordable housing and overlay zones and et cetera, when he has a property abutting or even included in the overlay zone?
If you're trying to speak that he's trying to do something nefarious.
I'm not saying that. I'm just asking if he should be on the committee under
well,
those
look,
circumstances.
This is not your question. This question comes from a friend of yours.
No, it doesn't. It
And
comes
yes,
from
it
me.
does. Yes,
It
it
sure
does.
does.
Mr.
Until you name
Katrubis,
that friend-
I have
Until you
been,
name your friend, I'll be happy to answer your question.
I have so many friends, Mr.
You
Katrubis.
know
I
which
lived in
friend we're
this
talking
town for
about. The
76
The
years.
one that writes
so-
all the questions.
The one,
Right,
the one that
guys,
writes all the
The
questions. for
resident
you.
has the right to be
Okay.
heard.
And let's get something
We're all
straight,
residents, Mayor.
abundantly straight about
Not
Mr.
right now.
Mehta before you try to, you or anybody else attempt to tear him down, because it's getting tiring at this point. This
It
gentleman.
truly is.
Yeah, it is, Mary. And you as the head and the president of the Englewood Cliffs Republican Organization should know better, okay? And it's getting tiring. This gentleman has put countless hours in of his own time and volunteered to help this borough. This gentleman has volunteered tens of thousands of his own dollars to help litigate and protect this town. What have you and your friends have done other than zero?
So,
Okay.
Mr.
Sue
Katrubis-
us.
Leave it at
Mr.
that. So
Katrubis, like,
please leave him alone at this point.
Mr.
I tried
Katrubis,
to bring us, hold on, Mayor. I tried to bring a solution to the table. Your people don't want it, and this is nothing more than pity or petty politics. And you guys would rather just lie to the public and see us fail, and so the town pays. And unfortunately, Mary, you being the head of the Republican organization here in town should know better than that. And it's really shameful that you're taking any positions.
Hold on,
against
guys,
the
Mr. Katrubis, as between the council and governing body, we can knock each other around. That's what we're kind of here for. But with the residents, let's just. try
She's
to-
not a resident, Mayor.
You
Let's-
attack the
She's the
residents
head
all
of
the time,
All right,
Mayor.
let's keep it at
She's
a nicer
former
level,
council
please.
person. She's
I
also.
am
part
a
of the planning
resident,
board.
Mr.
Yeah,
Katrubis.
so
I
am I,
am a
so am I.
resident.
The
So
mayor
am I,
attacks the
Mary.
residents all the
Let's
time.
just keep
Excuse
it
me.
nice.
He attacks Mrs. Geiger, he attacks he attacks
Um,
all the residents. So
I-
don't
I-
say that. Don't be
Mr.
holier than thou.
Mr. Munch, Mr. Munch,
Mr.
Mr.
Mensch.
Munch.
His name is Mensch, Mary.
Mensch.
Mensch.
Mensch sounds like a Jewish name.
That's
I
right.
don't
Well,
know.
who cares what it is? His name
Okay,
is
it
Mensch.
sounds like, I didn't think, doesn't
It
sound
could
like.
sound
Mensch.
from outer space. It's Mensch.
Yeah, well, Mr. Mensch,
Yes. ma'am.
hello.
Yes, Mr. Frank. Yes.
With Mr. Mehta owning a property, abutting a
Let me-
property
let me
that's
make it
in the
simple for you,
overlay
Mary.
zone.
Let me make it simple for you,
Wait,
Mary.
I'm
It's
talking
far
to the
easier-
l-
Let me just make it, let me
attorney.
just
I am
answer your question
talking
and make it. And
To
make
the
it abundantly-
attorney.
Let me just make it simple for you, Mary. It's far easier to stop arguing with people and just let the settlement go through, because in the end, those properties are going to be rezoned to residential properties. So you have zero idea about what you're talking about. So rethink what you're saying.
Mr. Mensch, should a person, a property owner that owns a piece of property abutting, if not in the overlay zone, be involved in talks and conversations with attorneys dealing with the affordable housing? We had this issue with the previous affordable housing group under the Democrats, with Ed Aversa having his property in an overlay zone and Debbie Sabari within 200 feet. This property that Mr. Mehta owns is within 200 feet. It actually runs the property line adjacent to 1000 Sylvan Avenue, the old LG property, and he owns the property next to it. Okay, can exactly abutting it. And should he be on a committee that's dealing with affordable housing, with him owning that property? Doesn't that disqualify him from being involved in this discussions and negotiations?
Mr. Chair, I'd have to look at all the details, and if Council President Katrubis wants me to provide an opinion to him, I will do that, but I'm not in a position where I can give you.
Okay, it's 68 Jane Drive
I
is
don't
the
need an
property
opinion.
he
Mr. Mehta
owns.
doesn't have any voting
And
rights.
the other,
Ms.
the
O'Shea,
other property
you really-
is
you really
1000
should
Sylvan
rethink your
Avenue.
arguments. You have zero idea what you're talking
And
about.
I am asking for an opinion from the attorney. Maybe Mayor Kranjak, maybe you could ask Mr. Munch to give an opinion?
Mensch, Mary, Mensch.
It's
Oh,
bench
listen,
with an E.
okay. Now, I also want to know, Mario Sango, who is the Recreation Director, is he a volunteer?
It's
Is he a
Marco.
volunteer?
It's Marco.
Anybody?
I think Marco gets a stipend, correct him?
He is a what?
Uh,
Is he a
Mayor doesn't know.
volunteer?
I believe he gets a stipend. Tim, is that correct, or does he get a salary?
His name is Marco, and he gets paid an hourly wage. He's working part-time.
Has the council ever hired him?
I believe so.
I don't believe so. I don't believe I saw a resolution,
I thought there was a recreation director resolution.
but usually you have to hire the person to fill the spot.
So
And
the-
I don't believe he was ever hired
the name
as an
of the-
employee, okay? And on that same vein, there is a gentleman working up on the second floor by where Rosemary works, and I don't recall another person being hired up there. I don't know his name, it's a man. And he's on the second floor by Rosemary Weber's,
So, okay, the
State-
petition
state.
was definitely approved by resolution. Mr. Mensch, was there supposed to be an additional resolution to hire?
what usually there is when you hire somebody.
No, I don't believe so, but Mayor, I could go back. The position was approved. I don't recall that a resolution would be needed for administrative assistant type position.
I mean, even crossing guards get hired by resolution. So I think somebody that's working on the second floor would be hired by resolution. And the last thing I wanted to say is, Mr. Mensch, I believe that Mr. Katrubis should abstain or recuse himself on pulling vouchers from the pay for Mr. Bernstein and Mr. Geist, because he has a conflict because Mr. Geist had investigated him. So I don't think he should be allowed to
Where'd that question
cause an
come from?
action on that. Because he added that to the
I
pull
know,
list
someone
last
else
week.
gave you that question too.
Okay?
Oh, yeah, that's a good one, Glenn. Good point.
Yeah. Okay.
And Mr. Munch,
Mensch,
Mr. Mensch, I asked Laura for a copy of the bylaws for the mayor and council, and I am still trying to find the place where you said an abstention counts with the negative votes. There's nothing in the bylaws for the Englewood Cliffs Mayor and Council that say that.
It's in section 9, Mr. Shea.
It's in where?
In section 9,
Of Englewood Cliffs?
yes, in the bylaws, and what it says is that I can't pull the language.
Because I asked Laura for a copy and I didn't see anything in there.
What it says in the bylaws is that motions must pass by a majority of those present. So it doesn't comment on abstentions, it doesn't use the word abstention, it comments on, for an action to pass, it must pass by a majority of those present. And if you then go and cross-reference that with Robert's Rules of Order, which is the borough is governed by Robert's Rules speaks about what the default is, and then ways you can modify the default, one of which is by votes requiring a majority of those present, and then that's where you get to.
Okay, all right.
So
thank
if you have 5 members present, you got to have.
Yeah, because I looked for it, I couldn't find it.
Mr.
Yeah,
Mensch,
yeah.
where does actually an abstention become a no vote?
What's that, Mayor?
Where does an abstention actually become a no vote then?
Well, abstention has the practical effect of a no vote based on something that you guys have.
But
If you-
you've used abstentions in the past to create a tie.
Correct. We just talked about this about a half hour ago, Mayor.
Right.
That's
well, Mayor, you also said that we couldn't have stuff that wasn't on the agenda. So let's be real.
Well, there's a question here with.
Let's be real.
Okay. Mr. Luciano, please. You're not
I know,
contributing.
please. That's what I'm
You're
saying to
not, you're not
myself too,
contributing.
please.
Look.
I am
We've always had abstentions count as a vote that did not take place, right?
yeah. And
Now
that
you're
was
putting it
wrong.
as an actual no vote.
Right. That was wrong. Anybody who gave you that advice in the past. did not
Matt,
read
well, you're
the bylaws.
breaking up, Matt. Yeah, there you go.
So if any lawyer gave you that advice in the past, then they didn't read your bylaws, or your bylaws were changed after that attorney gave you that advice.
No, the last attorney was just doing whatever the mayor told him to do. Actually, the last three
That's-
attorneys did that.
Actually, you know, it's amazing because I really don't get involved in telling lawyers what to do or not do. I
Sure.
ask them questions. And that's it. So, Mr. Luciano, you're wrong again. You're speaking out of turn and you're just wrong. You're wrong.
Absolutely.
You just say things.
Yep.
All right. Anybody else from the public?
Motion to
That's-
close.
Motion to
Yes.
close, please.
Think you have a motion in a second.
Second.
All in favor of closing?
All right.
All right.
Yep.
Anybody opposed? Have a motion to adjourn?
Have a nice evening, everybody.
Have a motion to adjourn?
Good
Any
night.
motion?
Do you have a motion to adjourn?
Be safe, drive carefully.
That's all nice, David.
Good night.
Motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Have a second, please? Is there a second to adjourn?
We stay here.
We can't adjourn unless somebody makes a motion and a second. Why can't I get a second
I ma-
motion to adjourn? Okay, well then what we'll do is we'll drop off and then we'll just adjourn that way by losing our quorum. Good night, Ramon.
Good night.
Night.
I think Tim's already off.
Thank you, Mr. Mensch. Have a nice evening.
All right, we're adjourning the meeting as we've lost our quorum.
Good night, all.
Good night.
Good night,
Thanks,
everyone.
Laura.